Neva is an artist from Los Angeles, and Neva's going to talk about the ways art can enhance feelings of safety and connection in public space. Take it away, Neva.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. So I live in LA, and I'm going to talk about how in my own work for public space, I try to create feelings of safety and connection. Next, please. So this is a project called Cloud Lilies. It's commissioned by the Arts and Science Council for a new community resource center in Charlotte, North Carolina. Most of my work addresses social issues such as equal access to transportation, clean air and water, climate change, and immigrants' rights. But this project was the first time a client emphasized the concept of trauma-informed design as a way to design public spaces that are sensitive to those who experience past and ongoing trauma. So I wanted to create an artwork that offers this sense of shelter and safety, making the environment welcoming for the people it serves. Next, please. So Cloud Lilies is inspired by the bulb of the Carolina lily and the process of groundwater transpiring into the atmosphere through plants. The sculpture creates a space for people to gather and rest, and it uses calming colors and soft forms. It also offers both visual and tactile modes of engagements in order to increase accessibility. Next, please. So through this project, I've become very interested in the idea of trauma-informed design. Next, please. So I'm going to quickly show a few past and future projects and just share some of my strategies for people, for ways to make people feel comfortable and connected. And I've always believed that once the audience feels safe, there's more room for emotional engagement, imagination, and play to enter. This project is called Red Car. Next, please. So the sculpture pays tribute to the Pacific Electric, once extensive trolley system in LA, which was all torn down by the 60s and replaced by freeways. Next, please. So these little chairs evoke the kind of public space created by accessible mass transit, which we have lost. A lot of my work comes back to this idea of social connection being essential to human happiness and fulfillment. Next, please. So, thanks, Renee. This project is called Same Boat Now and was commissioned by the Cambridge Arts Council for a public school named after Dr. King. It was inspired by one of his well-known quotes, "We may have all come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now." The school has a curriculum focusing on social justice, and I felt it was important to create something that's playful and appealing to a young audience, but can also spark serious conversations. Next, please. So this sculpture tells the story of immigration, exclusion, and belonging. Next, please. One of the tenets of trauma-informed design is being sensitive to cultural differences and being as inclusive as possible. This sculpture is called Acorn. It was commissioned for a performing arts center in Sacramento. It depicts a California live oak cradling a burst of string instruments. So Sacramento is a very diverse city. I have included string instruments from all around the world in order to reflect that diversity. I believe it's important to make sure people don't feel excluded from cultural and civic spaces. Next, please. This artwork is inspired by the image of an oak sapling sprouting from an acorn. It's about how an encounter with a compelling piece of music or storytelling is similarly full of potential. Next, please. I wanted to express the interconnectedness of musical instruments from different parts of the world. There's something very universal about building a hollow wooden body to amplify the sound of strings. I always want to highlight the commonality between cultures. Next, please. This project is called Cacophony. It was also commissioned for the Performing Arts Center in Sacramento. So it's the form of the crystal sculpture is generated from a sound wave of the Sacramento Philharmonic tuning before a performance of Stravinsky's Firebird. I'm fascinated by the cacophonous sound of a tuning orchestra. It's like a musical threshold, signaling the transition from everyday life to an experience of art. Next, please. Cacophony will act as a beacon to the community, so it will be highly visible behind the street-facing curtain wall. Next, please. The sculpture consists of 55,000 Swarovski crystals. So legendary performance venues often have these legendary chandeliers that help it shape its identity. And I wanted the people of Sacramento to have their own grand chandelier. Next, please. This project is commissioned by Sound Transit in Seattle for the atrium of a light rail parking garage. I propose to create these self-illuminated airships inspired by the fruits, flowers, and leaves of native trees in the Pacific Northwest. The station is a multimodal transportation hub, and the atrium is open to the air. So I'm reimagining the space as a hangar where these airships can float in and out. Next, please. I wanted the artwork to occupy space and have an impactful presence, but not disrupt any sightlines, which are especially important for people's sense of safety in a space like this. Next, please. Proximity to nature has been shown to have great psychological benefits for us humans. And I think one of the directions for trauma-informed design is definitely finding inspiration in nature. That concludes my presentation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Nova.